Anybody.
And Coach Bielema said you cannot fake confidence, you cannot fake swagger. And guys, through the mist, I could tell these players certainly have it today.
Indeed, Shannon, he mentioned the big moments at Auburn, against Texas A&M, did win at Texas Tech. Alabama 56 straight weeks in the top 10. See if that gets threatened here today. Arkansas looking to break through with an SEC win. 14 straight conference losses. Arkansas won the toss. They elect to receive.
This is what college football is all about, isn't it? Coming into these venues in the SEC every week in this division where they are so physical. And Brett's 100% spot on. If you're going to beat Alabama, as Ole Miss did a week ago, you have to take it from them. You have to finish in the fourth quarter. In order to do that, you got to play some good ball in the first three.
Adam Griffith to kick away. You saw Corliss Marshall, number 33, took the opening kickoff back 97 yards for a score against Texas Tech. But he is backed up here and will just take a knee from the big boot of Griffith. Tonight's impact players brought to you by Chick-fil-A, and really it's an impact matchup of that big, beefy O-line against that Alabama front.
Oh, I could give you the guys, the skill positions. They've got plenty tonight on both sides. I could give you Jonathan Williams and Alex Collins and Corliss Marshall and TJ Yeldon and Amari Cooper, but I'm not. This is going to be the story tonight. In the trenches, the biggest offensive line in college football, bigger than any in the NFL, against an Alabama group that can't wait to play some of their base defense.
Brandon Allen, the junior quarterback for the Hogs, with Jonathan Williams as the feature back here. And Williams was wrapped up by A'Shawn Robinson and the rest of that front group after maybe a yard and a half. So there's Brandon Allen. Hasn't thrown an interception in his last 77 pass attempts. Brock, that's 4 games without throwing a pick.
Didn't even recognize this guy on tape. Totally different quarterback than the one that I watched in person twice last year. He's improved his fundamentals. He's improved his decision making. And you know he is anxious. If he can break through for Brett Bielema in this program, break through against an SEC opponent, get that SEC win, well, the standard bearer Alabama would be a good start.
Too tight, strong right with Williams in the backfield on 2nd and 8. Play action, Allen has time downfield, and that was right off of Cyrus Jones. He was covering Demetrius Wilson.
Demetrius, the speediest of the Arkansas wide receiver crew, coming off a high ankle sprain, and if that's the case, Cyrus Jones is in his lap. I would expect these Alabama cornerbacks, as the ball gets right upon him as he turns around, I'd expect Alabama to get right into some of the press coverage, challenge some of the speed or the lack of speed that Arkansas has on the perimeter.
Third down and 8. Shallow crossing pattern as A.J. Derby comes up short at the 31-yard line. So they'll be punting away.
3rd and 8, can't live in it if you're Arkansas tonight. That's not their game. Their game, and it's why 4 yards is what they're seeking in their first down run game. They didn't get it. They get to the incompletion, the 3rd and 8, and Alabama is able to play the zone coverage. Landon Collins comes up, the leading tackler, and finishes off that drive.
Sam Irwin-Hill. It's a low punt that doesn't spiral. Instead, it bounces short, and coming up to field it and muffing that ball was Christian Jones. Arkansas claims they have it. And if it is, this is a nightmare week for Jones. We'll see who comes up with it at the end of that pile. And it is Alabama ball. I think it was Parker Barano, the reserve receiver and special teamer, who had it. But think about Christian Jones, the end of the Ole Miss game, and now this is how he starts in the return game here. And now they're saying it's the other way. You saw Barano at the bottom of the pile, but then you do see it came out, and now they turn it around and say first down Arkansas.
Inexcusable. Inexcusable if you're Christian Jones and you're a senior here and you've been around it. It's now why you're -5 in the turnover ratio, and Nick Saban is asking a very simple question. Christian, why? Why would you even attempt to field that in the chaos?
Remember, he fumbled late in the game against Ole Miss. He's going to tuck and run and get a first down out of it inside the 20. Nick Saban said to us last night, Brock, he said, I don't understand it. These turnover issues we've had. Look at the margin they're dealing with this year.
And it's one thing if it's a freshman or a sophomore that's learning, and Nick's got plenty of those that are playing, but it's quite another when it's a guy that's been through so many battles, has the rings on his finger. I know from his perspective he's trying to make a play and show some of that senior leadership, but that is a mistake and a killer on the road.
Williams now. Good blocking up front and a nice surge down to the 12-yard line, tackled by Xavier Dixon.
One of those many run schemes that Jim Chaney is going to throw at Alabama, constantly changing the picture. You're not just lining up and running at people. And they got into their formation, ran their wham. We showed in the open of this show, they get their perimeter people to come inside and get a hat on those defensive linemen, and that's the kind of first down run success that sets up the rest of the table.
Break that huddle fast and then snap. 2nd and 5, quickly out of the backfield to the fullback Walker. And Cody Walker has that first down, and it'll be 1st and goal just a few plays after that turnover. As Jones looks on, hoping his defense can save him a bit here. Williams trying to get to the outside. That's tough to do against the pursuit of Alabama with Landon Collins and Dixon.
You can tell in this run game when those big backs, Williams, Collins, and you will see Marshall, when they've got a stutter step in the backfield, when they have to hesitate in a downhill run game, Alabama's front has done their job. Those big boys may not get a lot of tackles tonight, but freeing up to Priest and Ragland in the second level of that defense to finish it off. That hesitation in the backfield, a good sign for Alabama's push.
Into the end zone. Did he lose the ball? The bag is down as a fumble, and they are waving a touchback. That was Cody Walker, who was hit by Trey DePriest. The senior linebacker just came up huge for the Tide.
And this is going to be awfully close to whether or not he crossed the plane before DePriest ripped the ball away.
The ball carrier fumbled prior to getting to the goal line. The ball rolled into the end zone and out. By rule, this is a touchback. Play is under further review.
So Cody Walker, they say, possessed the ball, then lost it prior to going into the end zone. And of course, going out of the end zone would make it Alabama's ball. But did he catch the ball? Did he have firm control to make this a catch, Brock?
That's the only question. There is no doubt he never crossed the plane, but did he ever possess the ball? You're exactly right. Does he ever put it away here as he's turning? It looks like he's bobbling it the whole way. I think that is going to be ruled an incomplete pass. I don't see firm possession.
Well, we'll see what Gerald Hodges, the SEC replay official, sees, because remember, the call on the field is a catch, a fumble out of the end zone, and a touchback. So they have to have that indisputable video evidence that says otherwise.
An excellent play call there from Jim Chaney. So Arkansas gets to the line of scrimmage quickly. You will see that tonight from the huddle.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. First down.
So it is confirmed. And they swap turnovers here early.
Wow.
Christian Jones muffed the fumble, and Cody Walker let a touchdown slip away. Interesting one early here at Arkansas. Cody Walker, junior fullback, fumbled into the end zone moments ago. A touchback for Alabama. If you're going to pull an upset, you can't miss opportunities like that. They had one early, did the Hogs. It's Blake Sims and TJ Yeldon out there in the backfield for Bama. And Sims is going to open up with an easy pass to DeAndrew White, who turns it upfield. Glad to have him back as Bama missed time earlier this year with an injured shoulder. And there is Blake Sims. Quarterback efficiency rating is 7th in the nation, 2nd in the SEC. The senior, who all season long everybody talked about Jake Coker, the transfer from Florida State, but it's been Sims who has guided the way for the Tide this year. 2nd and 3. That was batted down by the very active all-SEC defender Trey Flowers.
Just a really, really good football player in every phase defensively. The sack numbers aren't maybe where they've been in the past. He's the 3rd leading tackler from that defensive end position. He just has a tremendous awareness of everything going on around him, what that offense is trying to do. And the team that leads the country in passes deflected, passes broken up, adds to that.
3rd and 3. 3-step, quick game, overthrown, looking for the great Amari Cooper. 3 and out for Bama.
You can see Lane Kiffin's reaction and body language right there. You get what you want. It was 3rd and 1 to 3 a week ago at Ole Miss where you were 0 for. And Nick and Lane have such a good sense of communication on the sidelines, but that's a pitch and a catch. And to me, that's both a little bit of a wet football as well as a young quarterback, young inexperience on the road in a tough environment, and letting that heartbeat get in the way as the ball sails out of bounds.
The super leg talented freshman J.K. Scott out to punt away, and DJ Dean back for the Hogs. A wet, sloppy day. Had to catch and mold that with the rain as an issue. But that big leg sends it down the field just fine. 58-yard punt by J.K. Scott. Arkansas back on offense when we come back. That is Tusk 4, the Russian boar managed by a family who has a farm 90 minutes away from here in Fayetteville. One of the great live mascots in all of sports. Scoreless game early. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore, Brock Huard, Shannon Spake here in Fayetteville. Brandon Allen, the quarterback for Arkansas, completely transformed himself. His footwork, his mechanics, so improved compared to last year. Lost the ball, though. Wet conditions. Been an issue 3 times now already, Shannon.
Yeah, Joe, with the weather down here, it really has been raining the entire day. You have to wonder, Cody Walker wasn't able to hold on to that ball, and now what you're seeing, the team Arkansas told me that these are the special gloves that the receivers and running backs wear. They have almost a silicone inside. It's not the tacky material that you've seen sometimes with gloves. It's more of a silicone. When you wipe this on a dry surface, it's supposed to stay dry. You could wear them in wet or dry conditions. So this is what all the receivers and running backs should be wearing for Arkansas in these conditions.
That backed him up, Shannon, to a 2nd and 15. There's that draw play that they go to often with Jonathan Williams, tackled by Reggie Ragland.
You see good communication there pre-snap as well from Alabama. You will see plenty of bunch formation. Ole Miss got after Alabama. Some of those big plays in the 4th quarter were that tight bunch formation, trying to get Alabama guessing a little bit with what they like to do in their schemes defensively. That time Alabama did a good job communicating. But on the other side, Arkansas, you're absolutely right. That lead draw a big component of their run game.
3rd and 8. 3 receivers to the near side for Allen. Landon Collins was sneaking up. Now he backs off in coverage. They go with the slant, and they get it with Hunter Henry. Good-looking receiving tight end in his 2nd year. It goes for 14 yards and a 1st down for the Hogs.
That's a big-time catch. Not many times you see those running backs or tight ends, when they're split wide, make that kind of catch high and away behind him. But Hunter very adept in the passing game, and that's on Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson getting the start ahead of Tony Brown. They've been in competition the last couple weeks. Tony, a rough 4th quarter as well, and here comes that quick snap from Arkansas.
Toss play with Jonathan Williams. Cuts it back and does so with great success. And he's going to be close to that line to make on that first down run. Looks like he got about 9.5 yards that time. It was a good block by Patrick Arinze.
Good mix inside and outside. And watch this play clock. Bret Bielema, you know from his years at Wisconsin, loves to shorten the game. He wants to limit possessions. They'll run that play clock down. And then a bunch tonight, they'll break that huddle, get right to the line of scrimmage, and not allow Alabama to think and overthink.
Fake the pitch toss this time, and instead it's Derby trying to make the most of it, and that's tough to do as Dixon was corralling him. Did get enough for the first down, though, on 2nd and short. Once again, quick to the line. And speedy Corliss Marshall. And Dixon has been very active early on here. Another tackle for Xavier Dixon.
And once again, once those feet hesitate in the backfield, when you are a downhill run team, and when you find success like that earlier lead draw, that toss sweep, you don't see the hesitation in the backfield. But Alabama able to play some of their odd front. You got big Brandon Ivory right in the middle, that 3-4 front, where Brandon can get right on that center. They can use some of the strength and the size that Kirby Smart loves in their base defense.
2nd and 8. Allen. Diving effort that time by Wilson. An 18-yard reception as Arkansas passes midfield, and another first down against this Tide defense.
Coming right at you. So excited to have Wilson back. Toward the ACL a season ago, the high ankle sprain. He's a weapon on the outside. They surely miss when his speed isn't on the field.
Williams spins for a little extra. That was blocked to the left side, and he just made the most of it to the right side, close to the 35-yard line.
And there's your 4 yards. That's the number to keep track of. And Jonathan Williams, the best in the SEC with 8 rushing touchdowns as well. And you can see the production a season ago. But when you can get that 4 yards, and every offensive coordinator we talk to every single week, every season, talks about staying on schedule. That first down success, a big part of it.
9th play of the drive. It's a pass on 2nd and 6. Allen checks down to Williams, and Williams reaches out. Let's see where they give him that mark. That spot is close. Need to be just inside the 30-yard line. As Ragland was out there on coverage. Veteran SEC official Hen Wagers is our referee today.
Joe, you talked about some of the fundamental development of Brandon Allen. And when you watch him a year ago, he had this shoulder injury, the clavicle injury, and he was just not the same after that. Very little practice time, very little work on the fundamentals, was not able to run, was not able to extend these plays. And just that little mix, just that little movement. You don't have to be Dak Prescott. You don't have to run for 100 yards. It's going to be a first down. But when the play initially is covered up, the ability to extend it enough to get to your checkdowns, to get to your outlets, and even on 6 different occasions run for first downs this year. That's a component that Allen is bringing this offense that he could not do a season ago.
We often talk about Arkansas's ability to control play count and clock and manage a game when they're at their best. This will be their 18th play. Alabama's had 3 offensive plays. First down pass again. Williams. That cutback didn't work against Trey DePriest. Just the start of a great night of SEC action here on ESPN. Bo Wallace and the unbeaten Rebels, now number 3 in the country, down there at a roaring Kyle Field to take on Texas A&M. That's tonight, after us, 9 Eastern on ESPN. Ryan Anderson, big piece of that Alabama front 7. 2nd and 7 here. Williams, the lone back. Good job stacking up, and it was Anderson who got there first. Sophomore Ryan Anderson. He's had some good moments this year.
About that time of possession and the number of plays. This is an awfully big one now as you're pushing into the red zone. If you can find a way to continue to stay on the field and convert these 3rd downs.
Third and 6. He's going to launch it downfield, and that was well beyond Demetrius Wilson.
And there's a line that you walk every time as a quarterback. Do I take my shot or do I take my underneath? You see the one-on-one coverage here. You saw Alabama getting taken advantage of in the one-on-one. He decides to take a risk and pull the trigger. You see the underneath route. It may have scored right there.
They're going to send out Adam McFain, who hasn't attempted a kick in his career. He's a sophomore, grew up about 10 minutes away. Took over the job this week. This a 43-yard attempt. High snap, and it was bobbled. And Bama just runs all over him. That was Cyrus Jones coming in. So the slick conditions have played a role. Tough to handle it when it's off the mark. Another missed opportunity for Arkansas. Still scoreless here in Fayetteville. Reese, a lot of folks saying that whoever wins that game should be the #1 team in the country down in these parts. It's a screen to White, and he's taken down for a loss. Celebrating its 10th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. And since 2005, Allstate has contributed more than $3.4 million in scholarship funds. Pitch to the near side, TJ Yeldon. Good job coming down the line by Martrell Spate.
Alabama taking a page out of Arkansas's offensive playbook, trying to get to that line quickly, get into that tight bunch formation, get to the perimeter, but you see tremendous effort from Arkansas. That's what stood out from Ole Miss defensively a week ago as well, and feeding off of the frenzy of your home field.
Sims on 3rd and 10. Should have been intercepted. That was Tevin Mitchell right in his gut. Bottom line is this: 2 straight 3-and-outs to start the game for the Bama offense.
And the bottom line, even worse, is that's real bad body language, Blake Sims, and that's a real bad decision. And going to get your offensive coordinator a talking to from the head coach and questions about where you are. At home, Blake Sims has been automatic. He has been efficient, gotten away from home, and Lane Kiffin's got to try to settle his quarterback down. The errant throw on 3rd and short. In that one, he is incredibly fortunate on a bad decision to not have an INT.
J.K. Scott sends it away. Takes a Bama bounce inside the 20 and down to the 15. 50-yard punt by Scott. Scoreless here between number 7 Alabama and Arkansas. Looks a little different than the past couple years, doesn't it?
Brian Bielema pretty clear with us yesterday that he wanted a clean ball game. Nothing extraordinary. Just do the fundamental things, the little things right. And that's a fumble into the end zone. Look at the third down underneath receiver. Keon Hatcher may catch it and score. The fumbled, botched field goal attempt. And then Tevin Mitchell won't have a ball thrown his way any better than this from Blake Sims on another third down. Finish. Do the little things. You have got to take the game from Alabama if you're going to beat them like Ole Miss did a week ago. And Arkansas given the opportunities but falling short.
Williams on first down. Tripped up after a gain of about 3 by Brandon Ivory, and a flag comes in.
Illegal formation. 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. Down remains first.
And that's going to drive Brett Bielema crazy as well. He prides himself, his programs every single year at Wisconsin near the best in the country at penalties per game. His average is usually around 4. And when they have lost, those numbers have climbed. And the pre-snap penalties, those as a head coach in your own venue, you just can't live with.
Here's Allen. Hatcher went up high, but it's incomplete. Reese, what do you got? That's a North Carolina team that gave up 70 to East Carolina, lost to Clemson, lost to Virginia Tech, and now they're doing that. Second and 15. A little delay and a little bit of breathing room from Williams, who turns the corner and instantly gets that first down. That burst of speed for 16 yards from Jonathan Williams.
10 different run schemes and pictures, and this is going to be the lead draw. You're going to see the patience, and they love to just get a hat on a hat up front and allow the speed and athleticism of Corliss, who's different. He's got a different gear than both Collins and Williams. We thought he would play an integral role in this game today. And if Alabama wants to get in that stalemate up front and two-gap it, the Marshals got the quickness that can make them pay.
Anderson again reading that well. As Marshall taken down.
Anderson is a good
right near
player.
The 25. He sure is. I like great athleticism.
6'2", roughly 260 pounds. The redshirt sophomore that Alabama does have with all of the teams now that have gone up tempo and all of the spread teams they have seen earlier this season. They have played a lot of people on that defensive front. A lot of them have gotten plenty of experience, and Ryan is very, very stout and strong.
Allen to pass on 2nd and 12. But he overthrew Wilson, who was right in that pocket between the corner and the safety coming over.
Just a little bit of zone coverage here from the Crimson Tide. Landon's playing right over the top, and they're trying to get Wilson involved in that vertical game. And that's just a miss from Allen. He's not missed a ton this year, been very, very efficient. You love the touchdown to interception. We saw the shallow cross earlier on 3rd down where he took the shot down the field. Has not been able to hit the big play yet.
Third and 12. Allen, a little bit of pressure, extends the play, able to reset. And what an athletic play by Landon Collins to climb up that ladder. The All-America safety getting up.
He wanted the pick. But 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9. 3rd and 12, not the situations that Arkansas offensively is built for, and Alabama keeping their offense in it after 2 really poor 3 and outs. The defense from the Crimson Tide steps up.
That's not Christian Jones back. That's Cyrus Jones as they came after the punt of Irwin Hill. Oh, and it touched another Bama player. That was Smith who came in and touched it. They're talking this one over. Saban's out of his mind, angry. You just can't do that, says coach. See if he was pushed into the ball or if he did it on his own.
And Cyrus is doing his job. He is screaming and yelling to get away.
First down, Arkansas. That was Alan Diapolino, the snapper, who came down and recovered it. So 2 times now Bama's done this tonight.
And you made the point right there before the kick that you have pulled Christian Jones because of his earlier mistake, and Nick Saban is livid at his special teams. He's been livid all season with that group. Been unacceptable in that phase of the game, and add yet another turnover. 102nd in America coming into tonight and going the wrong way with 2 critical special teams gaffes in the first quarter.
And get them right at the line this time with Williams. Everything they weren't for all those years and all those title runs, and now this year the turnover margin going south on them. Look at the total plays for Arkansas. 27-6, but still nothing to show for it on the scoreboard. End of 1, a wild one in Fayetteville. Stay with us. Glad you're watching the SEC on ESPN. Joe Tessitore, Brock Huard, Shannon Spake with you here. Arkansas and Alabama scoreless after 1, but a lot of intrigue here. Remember, Arkansas lost back-to-back games to Alabama by identical 52 zip scores. Now they've been controlling the pace, the tempo, the turnovers, but it's still scoreless. As Alex Collins is now the lone back for Arkansas. He averages 124 rushing yards a game. But he's met by that front of Alabama here. That was Trey DePriest with the tackle.
And it's a good thing the special teams unit and Blake Sims has this defense right now that has been really good in early downs. That 1st and 2nd down average has been in their favor. It's why they've seen many of these 3rd and extra long situations, which is just not what this offense is yet equipped to handle.
Third and 9, little pressure off the edge, over the middle, high and incomplete. He was looking for Hatcher.
And one of the conversations that Jim Chaney had with us yesterday, the longtime offensive coordinator, been in many different places. He's here now with Brett at Arkansas. It's just the lower body mechanics of Brandon, that when he misses, and that's pretty good, when he misses, he can usually get on that phone and tell it because he's a little too amped up. That's a good job. That ball just, unfortunately, like we've seen on both sides for these quarterbacks, getting away.
Well, punts have been the best offensive plays for Arkansas, the way Alabama's been fielding these. Irwin Hill back out there for the Hogs.
Or not fielding.
This one goes in for a touchback. See if Bama can straighten themselves out on offense when we return. No score at Razorback Stadium. Today's Good Hands plays brought to you by Allstate. Good hands on defense, Brock.
The Razorbacks #1 in the country now with 30 passes broken up because Trey Flowers and crew on that defensive line have a tremendous awareness. And the All-American candidate Landon Collins, the leading interceptor, nearly got to that one, but able to break it up on 3rd down.
TJ Yeldon. Good work, good spin, and a good gain to the 28. There's Martrell Spate. 43 tackles he came in on the year. Leads the team 4th in the SEC in tackles per game.
Just the second carry there for Yeldon after the first quarter play. You know they're going to get their running backs involved.
And for Alabama, that's their first down of the game. It comes with 13:38 on the clock. Lane Kiffin, the new offensive coordinator, he got some heat this week, some criticism by former quarterback A.J. McCarron, saying Saban's kind of putting handcuffs on Lane Kiffin like I've known Coach do in the past. Kiffin told me this morning, he said, nothing could be further from the truth. Saban gives him all the freedom. Been a great head coach to call plays for. Yeldon tackled for a loss. Darius Philon got a good push into that backfield. That's a loss of 5.
Clearly the two best defensive players for Arkansas, and I don't think there's any debate about it, are Philon and Flowers on that defensive line. Two difference makers. Philon, the redshirt sophomore. Flowers, Subilima convinced to come back to school. So very active in their run game. That was a check with me situation. A lot of communication in a no-huddle group to get all lined up for Alabama, but that surge, that push from Philon and Flowers dominated that play from the beginning.
Blake Sims just 1 of 4 for 7 yards passing, but he gets the tight end release right over the middle. O.J. Howard adding more and more. 47-yard reception by the sophomore tight end.
What a tremendous call there from Lane Kiffin. 2nd and 15. Everybody thinking you're probably going to run it to make a more manageable 3rd down. The play action pass. Tremendous execution.
Here's the toss. Yeldon dragged down from behind that time. Flag comes down. It's going to be horse collar. O.J. Howard has put them in position here as Penn Wagers will call out that flag on Trey Flowers.
Personal foul, horse collar, number 86, defense. Penalty, half the distance to the goal. Touchdown.
Talk about the relentlessness of Trey Flowers. He fights through 2 blocks there, but that's the right call.
Lane Kiffin said of O.J. Howard, the tight end who put him in position, he says he needs to get on track. Had that terrible game against Ole Miss. He said Lane called it terrible. Had the 2 drops on 3rd down. Had the late holding penalty. That's the O.J. Howard this offense wants to exploit, wants to put forth against defenses.
And should have, to complement all the attention paid to Amari Cooper, play in and play out. He should be a difference maker.
Blake Sims, as he quickly tries to get to the corner, and Spate was tracking him, a gain of 4.
And what a really big drive from Lane Kiffin and his Crimson Tide. We saw Blake Sims before the drive. Very vocal, very adamant in the huddle with his teammates. And really the 2nd and 15 call, the dagger. The play action pass, all the attention, all the eyes, the linebackers downhill, the easy pitch and catch with Cooper, with Howard, to now put the Crimson Tide inside the 10.
2nd and 6. Derrick Henry. And he's cut down, just getting back to the line of scrimmage as Jared Collins comes in low on big Derrick Henry.
And that was a miss there. There was something in the communication, in the execution of that play. And we've not talked about it here in the first quarter and a half, but you've also got a new center, Bradley Bozeman, 75, right in the middle of that action, replacing the injured Ryan Kelly, trying to communicate in this hostile environment. I like this. On a critical 3rd down, get everybody huddled up and get on the same page.
See number 9 at the top of your screen, Amari Cooper. Such a dangerous weapon. He looked there first, but then all he saw was Trey Flowers.
tough for offensive linemen to block Trey Flowers. It's almost impossible for running backs. T.J. Yeldon does what he can. He ducks in. He tries to get to the legs of Flowers. No chance there for Sims.
So Adam Griffith comes on for the 30-yard attempt. And that is no good. That stayed to the outside of the upright. They have struggled with place kicking. Still scoreless here in Arkansas. Missed these for both teams. They've been celebrating the 50th anniversary of that 1964 undefeated national championship team. All the guys came out pregame, including Jerry Jones, the starting center back then. Forget Cowboys owner, he's proud to be an Arkansas legend this weekend. He showed up on the set of SEC Nation proudly wearing that championship ring this morning here in Fayetteville. Reunited, that 64 team. Of course, Alabama was #1 in the AP poll. Lost to Texas in the Orange Bowl. Alex Collins fumbles the ball, and Anderson's got it. Alabama gets the turnover here. Ryan Anderson scooped it. Left and right, folks are struggling to hold on to it.
And the big fella inside, A'Shawn Robinson, working down the line, does a nice job on the cutback and punching that ball out. So Ryan Anderson, who played a good, sound first quarter of play, could scoop it up. And both teams now, 2 critical fumbles. A'Shawn showing up in a big, big way. And this defense, we said it throughout that first quarter, really allowing the offense, the special teams to have some life, and now setting them up with tremendous field position.
So moments ago there was the sack on 3rd down, then the missed field goal by Adam Griffith, and now a second chance for Bama's offense. Play action, Sims downfield, should have been intercepted again. Alan Turner this time.
Here's what's happening, Joe. You're trying to force feed Amari Cooper, and you can't. You saw it on the earlier 3rd down, and you just can't have this. You're moving Amari around, but you have got two defenders committed to him. The underneath coverage over the top. Amari sees the safety on him. He quits on the route. You can't continue to take those risks and force it just because he's your best player.
Yeldon bottled up, maybe a gain of 1. Trey Flowers was waiting on him.
Lane Kiffin was really, really honest with us this week about Blake Sims more than anybody else. And playing quarterback at Alabama, you're going to be the center of a lot of conversation and attention. But Blake has been so good in his decision-making at home. It's been these situations on the road, and right now he looks like a rattled quarterback.
Remember, new center Ryan Kelly is out. That's Bradley Bozeman with Sims he was checking with. 3rd and 9. Inside the 5 and stretching for the end zone, and a touchdown. T.J. Yeldon, the extra effort, makes it a score.
And if you're rattled, if you're uncomfortable, then you better get back to what you do best. And for Blake Sims, it is his creativity. It is his movement. It's not playing within the pocket and making decisions. It's extending plays and getting outside. And what a tremendous effort for TJ there as he crosses the plane. Just a simple little check down, just an outlet that Blake Sims kept alive because he kept his poise, unlike the previous 2 3rd downs.
Now to attempt the extra point is Adam Griffith.
Griffith makes it 7-zip. Remember the turnover on one side. This time they cash in for Blake Sims, his 9th touchdown pass of the season. Number 7 Alabama is up 7 early as DirecTV takes us inside the drive. Take a look at that last touchdown drive.
Started with the big fella A'Shawn Robinson on the cutback from Collins, punching the ball out. Ryan Anderson staying alive, and Blake Sims staying alive himself as well. Clearly struggling between the tackles, seeing the picture, making the proper progressions and reads, but at his best in the play action outside of the tackles, and that time on 3rd down, finding his outlet, finding his check down, and TJ doing the rest.
Here's Corliss Marshall. Taken down before the 20. Reese.
Corliss Marshall returned to the 19-yard line. It's 1st and 10 for Arkansas.
Good finishes to some of those games there. And as this is complete to Keon Hatcher. Brandon Allen was struggling before that. He had 5 straight incompletions.
And he had plenty of time to get on the phones and have a conversation with Jim Chaney, his offensive coordinator, and I sure do like that call. The first down, the early down runs have been stuffed thus far to Alabama, so you come out and you're about 80+% running the ball on 1st down this season, and Jim mixes it up and comes with the play action pass and the chunk play down the field.
Williams stacked up. Let's go down to the field and check in with Shannon.
Joe, right about the start of the 2nd quarter, a lot of long faces on this Alabama sideline. I saw one person who was really responsible for changing the entire mood, and that was Blake Sims. He continued to encourage his guys. Every single one of them looked him directly in the face and said, "We've got this. Let's get out there." Moments ago, as the defensive line was on their way to the field, they actually walked by the offensive line and high-fived all of them on their way out. A total change of attitude on this Alabama sideline.
I want to talk more about that leadership word you just used and what Blake Sims showed there on that last drive in a moment. Here, 2nd and 10. This is Marshall taken down out after a gain of 3. Remember the headline this week with A.J. McCarron, the former quarterback, saying this team lacks true leaders. Nick Saban said, how would he know and why would he say it when he said it? I think Blake Sims on that last drive showed that he can be a leader.
Leadership, in my estimation, and we had the good chat with Nick last night, is overcoming adversity. And that's what going on the road is all about, especially in this conference. Every single week in this division, you are going to face adversity, and they have here in the first 20 minutes of this game. But the ability to respond, that's what they didn't do in the 2nd half in Oxford a week ago. And thus far in this 1st half, and that drive in particular, they sure have.
3rd down and 6. Allen. Time and gets it complete to Hunter Henry. As Arkansas crosses midfield with a reception to their tight end.
And that's a mismatch to keep an eye on. You saw it earlier on the slant route on a 3rd down conversion. You just don't have an answer at cornerback for a 6'5", 250-pound athletic tight end, especially one that can use his body like Henry can. But you've also got to get into those 3rd and manageable situations to feast on that matchup.
Allen, how about a shot downfield? And off of Hunter Henry's hands, but a flag comes down as Ragland was trying to stay vertical with the fluid Hunter Henry.
Pass interference. Number 19, defense. 15-yard penalty. Previous spot, automatic. First down.
Brandon Allen would sure like to have that throw back and get it out earlier and put it on the money. But it is better to underthrow. When you've got a defender, and especially an inside linebacker that's chasing, the worst thing you can do is overthrow that and force an incompletion. Those linebackers, typically when they're beaten that badly, they know nothing more than to seek out contact and to try to break that pass up. So while you would have loved the pinpoint precision for the touchdown, you can at times settle for the underthrown, drawing the penalty, the 15-yard penalty.
Got to go back to September 2011 since Arkansas scored on Bama. They've been outscored 118-0. Back-to-back 52-0. A score in the fourth quarter of that game I referenced, and now 7-0 here. Can they change it? Brandon Allen's thinking so. A first down near the 15-yard line. A.J. Derby, present quarterback to a former quarterback.
I sure had the hunch sitting with Brett and Jim yesterday that if Arkansas was going to find some offensive rhythm and find some points that they've not found the last couple years, and you could see Derby imploring his teammates, it was going to be the tight ends. That's the matchup they like. That's where they feel like they've got some size and speed quotient to take advantage of Alabama's defense.
A.J. Derby actually started the game at quarterback when Allen was injured last year. Jonathan Williams able to slip through and fight his way inside the 10-yard line to the 9, tackled by DePriest.
You just love the big fellas, the biggest offensive line in college football. Denver Kirkland, he's coming around. Bret Bielema telling us yesterday he may be the best he's ever coached. A true sophomore in Kirkland that's got his weight down. He's really good. They love to get him because of his athleticism on the move, leading and paving the way and getting that critical first down yardage.
Shows Arkansas over Miami and Florida State, one of the first big recruits for Bielema when he signed on. But for Bielema to say one of the best he's ever coached, think of those great linemen at Wisconsin. Play action on 2nd and 4. And that was Walker trying to step out at that line needed. And it'll depend on that mark there as Ragland pushed him out. Remember, Walker fumbled the ball into the end zone for a touchback in the first quarter.
And that's a pretty favorable spot to my eye, the first look at it. Nice job of readjusting, and we've seen that now with different tight ends. Hunter Henry's done it a couple different times. That's not an easy play for a fullback, Cody Walker, to come back on a throw behind him there, forcing the measurement.
Boy, that is close. And they're marking it just short. So 3rd and inches here. And what'll be the 8th play of this drive as Bret Bielema and the Hogs are trying to match Bama.
There's a good look at Cameron Jefferson, left tackle by trade, normally wears number 79. He puts 89 on to be their big, heavy third tight end in these rundown situations.
They're going to use a timeout. And we're going to take a short break with them. It'll be 3rd and inches down at the 5-yard line when we come back.
What Arkansas coaches say to us yesterday, there's the AFC, the NFC, and the SEC.
Feels that way, doesn't it? On nights like this, the start of our SEC prime doubleheader. 3rd and inches. Williams, 1st and goal, Razorbacks.
Couple fumbles aside, some misses, some poor decisions for both teams, and yet both Alabama on that previous drive showing some real guts and resolve to overcome adversity, and Arkansas doing the same. Putting together their most complete drive, started with the first down pass and a good mix of run and pass, and this is what they're built for, these down distances.
Play action out of the I formation, bootleg. Allen cuts back to the inside, spins, and was drilled. I mean, just absolutely driven back by Robinson.
A'Shawn's come to life. He's played his best game yet that I have seen this season. Been very, very active. He forced the fumble earlier. And you could see that looks like Petway unfortunately pulls up here, and yeah, he twists his ankles, but that overall pursuit there from the Crimson Tide. And when you get 300-pounders running sideline to sideline, you know your group is playing hard defensively.
He hit him so hard, I think the 6 flew off his helmet. He's down to an 8. 2nd and goal. Here's the toss. There's the block, and there's the score. Jonathan Williams.
I would imagine those first points in a couple years against Alabama feel pretty good. Shutouts, goose eggs the last 2 seasons in a sustained drive. Finishing it now with the 9th touchdown run for Williams on the season, the most in the SEC.
That was blocked. John Henson's extra point attempt denied. It was a good drive. Allen was 5 for 5. Williams capped it, but Bama leads by 1. A 7-6 game here in Fayetteville. 3:47 before the half. Joe Tessitore, Brock Huard, Shannon Spake. Alabama trying to bounce back after the loss at Ole Miss. Arkansas trying to break through. They've lost 14 straight SEC games. Turnovers, a big part of the action tonight. Missed opportunities, and there was one just missed moments ago to try to tie this game as the PAT attempt was blocked. As Adam McFain will be kicking away to Landon Collins and Christian Jones, who has been such a great special teamer throughout his career up until the last 7 days. On the kickoff return against Ole Miss that was costly, and earlier tonight a muff punt. And here is Jones again. Let's check in with Reese. Reese, I can't wait to hear what all the guys are going to say about Mississippi State if they hold on there. I think they got the most impressive resume, and I think most would view them as the best team in the country right now based on what they've accomplished. Here's Sims getting out of the pocket, but coming up short on that throw to Amari Cooper.
Zero catches thus far for Amari Cooper, who Lane Kiffin called our Michael Jordan. And you want to complain about how much we try to feed him, and in Lane's estimation, Michael Jordan never was limited on shots. He was their best player. And right now they're trying to move him around. They put him in the slot. They played him on both sides of the ball. That time some play action. But once again, Blake Sims has got to make that decision that if he is covered, do not force it. Use your legs, use your strength and your athleticism.
Here's Yeldon. Couldn't find much at all. Brooks Ellis, the sophomore linebacker, coming in on the tackle. He came on strong last year, was SEC all-freshman choice.
Now defensively here for Arkansas, and this is where Trey Flowers has got to be that leader on that defensive line and remind his buddies around him to keep number 6 in the pocket. It's been a focal point. They want him throwing from the hole, as they call it. They want him between the tackles, not escaping like he did on his touchdown pass. Let's see if they can execute the plan here defensively.
Third and 8. He gets out of that pocket. And he gets a strike to White. Midfield and a little beyond for DeAndrew White. A 21-yard reception for the Tide.
And sometimes the best laid plans, well, they fall flat on their face, because once again, Blake has got to realize in these moments on the road that that is what he does best. Allow that rush to come upfield, buy some time.
There is Cooper, and he shakes free. Amari Cooper is a little slow to get up here as he's down on the ground, and the medical staff right there near that Alabama bench is quick to get to him. Cooper came in leading the nation in receptions per game. Truly the handful of elite players in the country.
And a quick hitch there, and there's the true freshman Tolliver nearly getting a hand in the ball, and there you see Rohan Gaines. Come in and
Cooper
finish the
is
tackle. Yep.
up and walking away, which is a good sign. This is a guy that has gotten a lot of attention. He's number 4 recently in the Heismanology poll of official voters. He's had a sensational year. As it's a first down for Alabama at the 37-yard line. Yeldon, can he bounce it? No, the pursuit by Alan Turner, staying with it, coming up from that safety position.
All the years that Alabama could just get up there, line up, and run it right at you. For all of those seasons and those offensive lines that you could tell the opponent what you were going to run in the run game, and it didn't matter with Barrett Jones and Warmack and Fluker and the rest. Right now, Alabama is desperately searching to find a run identity.
Yeldon comes out of the backfield, leaving them empty here on 2nd and 9. They only bring 4. And underneath goes for nothing with White. That was Ellis and Braylon Mitchell quick to get to him.
11 rushing yards against an Arkansas group that, yes, has a couple good defenders in Philon and Flowers. But this is an Arkansas group that's given up 140 a game. Not renowned to stopping the run. Yeldon, Henry, still 2 of the best backs in college football. But an inability to get any run game going, and it's putting more and more of the burden, the pressure, and the responsibility on the quarterback position.
3rd and 10. Clock coming down to 1.5 minutes. Sims, Ellis pursuing him. And that'll be 4th down. Good coverage that time. Collins was there. Overall, the defense did their job. Ball's on the 37-yard line. It would be a 52-yard attempt. So we'll see if they think about the long field goal attempt by Griffith, or if J.K. Scott, the punter, comes out. Scott's coming out there, and he has been a star of well-respected kicking coach Jamie Cole's national camps for his hang time. This is a very talented guy. In high school, his junior year, he was already hitting 5.2s. He can send it to the sky. So they're just going to kick away here and take the...
Alabama, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
They'll just back up J.K. Scott. And he will swing away, leaving under 1 minute to go in the 2 timeouts for Arkansas.
More communication between head coach and his point guard, his quarterback, Blake Sims.
the delay of game. That penalty decline is still 4th down. We'll place the ball at the previous spot.
And they're going to keep him right there on the 37.
Sure, Alabama wants to, and Nick Saban took the delay of game to give his young, true freshman punter the opportunity, more room, more margin for error, and Bret Bielema says, no, sorry.
Backward rotation on this punt to try to pin him. And that's exactly what J.K. Scott does. This is why they've raved about the true freshman punter. Pins him. Reminder, you can get your NFL Sunday started at 10 a.m. with Sunday NFL Countdown presented by Snickers. Chris Berman and the gang will have all the news and analysis. Get the day set for the NFL. And Fantasy Football Now, presented by Papa John's, is at 11 a.m. on ESPN2. All the latest injuries and updates to set your lineup there.
Trying to get on Jerry Jones playing from here. I know he's going up to Seattle to watch his Cowboys play the Seahawks. No good, though.
What a great visit we had with Jerry Jones on SEC Nation this morning. He was so excited to be back here at his school, celebrating the 50th anniversary of that '64 title team. And he loves the direction this program is headed in with Bret Bielema. Got to play it safe. Just a little bit of breathing room. Alabama's got the 3 timeouts remaining.
That's right. And you've got to take all 3 of these. I mean, it's remarkable to say, but I think the best aspect of Alabama's special teams come from a 19-year-old. Comes from a true freshman, J.K. Scott, who set up this whole situation.
Brandon Allen, the Hogs quarterback, is thinking situational here. What you got to do. Pinned against your own goal line. Bama with 2 timeouts left. 39 seconds to play in this half. He's got the very talented Jonathan Williams that's going to break that huddle with him in the backfield. They run power, and it goes nowhere. Reggie Ragland read it. He just followed into that hole that Denver Kirkland was trying to create. Another timeout for Alabama. We'll take it. So they go here, they call a timeout. It leaves them about 27 seconds for 4th down. They're gonna, and they, you got a punter in here. Sam Irwin-Hill, how many blocked? Any blocked this year? Any punts blocked this year? For Arkansas have any punt blocks? Does Alabama have any punt blocks? Bama pinned them on the J.K. Scott punt. And now 2 good defensive plays by that front 7 for the Tide and 2 quick timeouts. 31 seconds remaining, and Arkansas is facing a 3rd and 9 from the 3-yard line.
You see the 3 wideouts come into the game, but I have to still believe this is going to be a run play. As good as your defense is played and the challenges that Alabama is at offensively.
That's exactly what they do. And Williams spins and gets it. So all that work by the Bama defense, and Jonathan Williams bails them out. That was a great individual effort. 21-yard run.
There's a little bit of that lead draw once again, and this is all Jonathan Williams. 1, 2, 3, 4. Even Landon Collins there, who is usually the finisher, the leading tackler, and he can't get Jonathan Williams down to the ground.
Now that got them out of a hole. That would have given Alabama a scoring opportunity before the half. Allen launches it downfield.
And that's an awfully dangerous throw in decision here. Landon Collins just playing some of that too deep again. That's the third drop interception. These defensive backs are making everybody's point. This is why you're not wide receivers. We've seen it on both sides. The inability to finish, numerous interceptions, 2 on the other side.
One of which would have stopped a scoring drive for Alabama if Arkansas could have held on to it. And take a knee. It's one of the best possible outcomes compared to where they were just moments ago. This Arkansas team is much different, Brock. Lane Kiffin and Nick Saban are finding out.
And so is this Alabama team. A couple uncharacteristic from years past. System they must develop, is Nick Saban said going into halftime to Shannon. They must develop some of that run game to possess the ball, because this defense has been on the field twice as long as their opponent's defense.
Landon Collins and Christian Jones back deep. And here's Jones. Let's check in with Shannon.
Well, Joe, you heard Coach Saban say really the word for this second half is discipline. For Coach Bielema, it is all about capitalizing. He walked out of that locker room, and we saw it yesterday, confident. Confidence is continuing through the second half. He said, my players have waited a very long time to be in this opportunity with just 1 point separating them from this Alabama team. We've got to capitalize on that opportunity we have in front of us.
He says it's coming. That breakthrough moment is coming. Will it be tonight here at home? Sold out Razorback Stadium, and only that blocked PAT separates Alabama and Arkansas. And as you can see, Ken Wagers, the head of this SEC crew, referee, talking to Brett Bielema. Something's being explained to Coach. Word what getting is there's a communication issue with the headsets. And if Arkansas's headsets aren't working, then they have to determine what the situation is, and if Alabama needs to do the same and take their headsets off as well. Ken Wagers is a veteran referee in the SEC. He's worked well with their coordinator official Steve Shaw for many years. This is a good crew we've got here in Fayetteville.
And we'll see where this conversation goes and whether they can get those headsets working again. Remember, Lane Kiffin, coordinator, is on the sidelines. We've seen already Jim Chaney up in the booth, coordinator for Arkansas on the other side. And I'm sure that is some of the continued dialogue here is if our headsets come off, then I've got to get my coordinator down here on the field or some way to communicate.
We were talking about the coaches' headsets for Arkansas. We're ready to play.
Well, no explanation, but they're ready to play, and that's all we care about. Let's get after it. Let's play some ball here in the second half. And that Bama offense with Kiffin down on the field, that's new for him. He says it works out better with Blake Sims and his lack of experience early this season to be there and talk with him and coach him up. As they'll start on the ground with TJ Yeldon, who barely gets back to the line of scrimmage as Trey Flowers makes the tackle.
You have to find some run game. I mean, you just must do it. Whether it is your scheme, whether it's consistently calling it, you will hear every offensive coordinator say, in order to run the ball, you have to have that conviction to run it. You know Arkansas is going to do that. Alabama's done it. They did it well a week ago. And you can see the first half struggles. I really do believe that's built on the inability to have any run game early and put too much pressure on this quarterback.
It's been since 2008 since a run defense has played that well against Bama. Wow. Sims sacked. Darius Philon. The young man who on signing day long ago put an Alabama hat on, but he landed at Arkansas.
The two best players on this defense run a little stunt there, the tackle and stunt. They've done it for many years together. Excellent timing, execution, and now a very, very precarious situation for a quarterback that's already thrown a couple to the other team, but the Hogs just dropped those.
He grows. And he's getting after the Tide. 3rd and 22. Just a safe screen. Yeldon tries to cut it back. And does a nice job of it. Back near the original line of scrimmage.
And those are going to have to be some of the first down calls, I think, as this game moves along. An excellent block out there by Taylor, the right guard. TJ does his best. But the first down run being stuffed again and again and again has just set up really difficult conversations like these. I don't care who you have playing quarterback. 3rd and 22 on the road. Impossible.
And here comes that big vertical swing of the 6'4" punter, J.K. Scott. And that big bounce again goes inside the 20. 54-yard punt this time from Scott. A reminder, it's a double dip in the SEC tonight. You got number 3 Ole Miss and Texas A&M down there at Kyle Field set to come. That Ole Miss defense, Brock, they've only given up touchdowns on 5% of their opponents' drives. Now they face Kenny Hill and the Aggies.
They played so hard. They beat up this Alabama team. Knocked out 3 starters from tonight's game for the Crimson Tide. Mississippi State had the advantage, I think, from an energy standpoint to play at home. Can Ole Miss create that energy, find that energy on the road against an opponent that you know is angry after their game a week ago?
Jonathan Williams, tackled by Ragland. This week's rankings brought to you by Allstate. Last week was so disruptive in college football, and there's been some wild action already this afternoon. The headline making event, of course, is what Mississippi State did. You can cross off number 2, and you agree with me, Brock. Mississippi State's got the best resume in the country.
They do. They're the most balanced team. I don't think anybody can really debate that right now. And this isn't about Florida State and all the games they've won in a row and everything they did last year. This is about the resume this season.
Allen downfield, but to the outside of Hatcher. Coverage came from Cyrus Jones.
Really good coverage once again. Cyrus doing a nice job not being fooled by the formations or the run or everything that Arkansas likes to do with some of their what we call window dressing before the snap. Eye discipline. Kirby Smart talked an awful lot about it this week. Having the composure and the poise. You're not going to get thrown at you 40 times. But when Arkansas takes their shots, you just have to be disciplined. That's a couple occasions now where Cyrus has really done his job well.
Kirby Smart, longtime defensive coordinator for Nick Saban. As he gives the signals here on 3rd and 9, look like they may be coming up that A-gap. And here they come. And there goes Hatcher for a Hogs first down.
That's a play that Brandon Allen doesn't make a year ago. It just that the growth that he has played at this position to know where everybody is on the field. You called it the inside pressure, right up those A-gaps in his face. He doesn't panic. He retreats. He's able to fit it in there in front of Dixon, who's dropping in that zone blitz coverage. It's a big-time 3rd down conversion.
Here's Collins on the toss. They got to him, a tackle for loss. Ragland and Collins.
Ragland is really coming in this defense. And you don't get bragged about when your team loses, but Kirby Smart said 2 best games he's played have been the last 2 weeks. He showed up again and again in the run game against Ole Miss, and you're looking at 250 pounds, the junior playing his best ball. And there was a little anger in that finish.
Second and long. Here's Collins out of the backfield. And he was met right away by Landon Collins.
5-star on 5-star right there. What Nick Saban said to Shannon going into halftime, played really good defense. The number of times that they have in Arkansas in this down and distance, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 10, he will take his chances this evening if they can continue to play this kind of ball.
Third down and 10. Allen, pressure off the edge, extends the play. Wide open is Hatcher. And out across midfield, here come the Razorbacks. 27-yard reception for Arkansas.
I've said a bunch tonight, and that's just this formation, and Hatcher gets lost. You see the pressure, the lack of communication. I believe that's going to be Cyrus Jones that time. All of the praise I gave him for the discipline and the communication, but you get into that formation, so you force a defense who's going to blitz to communicate, and if they miss their assignment, you know, guys like Hatcher on that play run free.
Odd ball formation there for Arkansas, and Ragland was on top of it.
I like the word that Jim Chaney used yesterday, and it's nuance. It's all the nuances. It's easy to see the X's and O's and get on a chalkboard and talk about all of those things, but it's the little nuances there. It's knowing on that previous third down, you called the double A-gap blitz and expecting Kirby in his nature to do the same. So if you're going to expect blitz, get into a formation that at least forces those guys to have to communicate, and you may get someone running free like they did Hatcher.
2nd and 7. That was deflected at the line of scrimmage that time. And a flag is down right there at the 45-yard line. Been such a tight game every which way, from the turnovers to the critical positions. And then moments like this, the which way will it goes.
Personal foul. Number 63, personal foul. Number 62, both hands to the face. The foul's offset. 2nd down.
Now 63 is Dan Skipper, the big 6'10" left tackle who used to be 76. He's an aggressive player.
And he made that switch to 63 because, well, he felt like he was a targeted guy.
How's that on Dan Skipper? What's offsetting there? Ashawn Robinson's the one that
that's a
came
miss
forward.
Yeah, that's a swing and a miss.
And Skipper's been very conscious in some conversations recently with Brett Bielema about his style of play and how he can be a target. 2nd and 8. And A.J. Derby doesn't get much that time as he was ridden down by Dylan Lee. Dylan Lee was in for Denzel Duvall, who's out injured. One of 3 key injuries for Alabama coming off that Ole Miss game. Ole Miss will be playing A&M after we finish things up here in Fayetteville.
6 of 10 now on 3rd down conversions, thanks to these two that have sustained this drive. You have seen pressure on the first 2 3rd downs. I would be surprised here on this 3rd down to see a situation yet again. Alabama certainly is showing that. I think you're going to trust your front 4 to get home.
Whistle came in there.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
It's pretty remarkable being here yesterday and as positive as Brett Bielema was for a guy that's yet to win an SEC conference game.
Of course, had the win at Texas Tech where they just thumped them. Came so close. They were a play or two of putting it away against A&M. And they played Auburn tough opening weekend for a half. but they feel like they've been sitting on it. The breakthrough moment. Could it be here at home against mighty Bama? Caught off the bounce. That'll be a first down for Arkansas. Demetrius Wilson.
Now these are the plays that are just so challenging for Nick Saban, a secondary coach. He's had so many corners through the years that have been difference makers and first-round picks after first-round picks. And Cyrus Jones is on that coverage. In fact, he's in front of him. That's a two-man coverage. You see the safety over the top. He is underneath that route. That should never happen. But the inability to get his eyes around to make a play on the football, a big reason why the Tide have just 2 interceptions all season long.
Allen trying to shake free, but finally they get to him. Let's find out what's up from Reese Davis. Little magic from Art Briles' crew.
Wow.
Drama down there in Waco. So Bale remains on the shorter list of unbeatens now. Second and 11. That was batted down as well. That was Jaron Reed getting up.
And that's just smart football. We've seen it on the other side. We're keeping the praise on Trey Flowers and his group, but big Jaron Reed, there's the junior college transfer. He knows he's got no shot. Got the corner blitz coming from the other side. Cyrus Jones on that play and does the smart thing, times his jump, and 7 of 11. That's been the difference here. That's why Arkansas has had the amount of possession they have. 7 of 11 on third down, and yet again a third and extra long situation.
Third down and 11 from the 35. They pick up a little bit of pressure. Shot downfield, but overthrowing Hollister. Jones was stride for stride with Cody.
And you can see the reaction there. They've been sitting on this play. Veteran coordinators will sit on it and wait to pull the trigger on the double move. This is a slant and go from Hollister. And Brandon did a really nice job on the deep ball earlier. Remember the point I made? Don't overthrow it. If you've got your guy open, keep it in play. Give your guy a chance. And quite possibly could have drawn the pass interference call. Instead, that overthrow forces the punt.
Irwin Hill. Just a little boot here. Try to pin him. And fair caught down there at the 11-yard line. Just a 1-point margin between Bama and the Hogs. Joe Brock and Shannon with you. Time for the Aflac trivia question. They've been celebrating that 50th anniversary of the '64 title team. Arkansas shared that national championship with which team? Bama starts with big Derrick Henry. And he goes for a couple, tackled by Philon. Blake Sims feeds him again. And he's gobbled up by Brooks Ellis. So it'll be 3rd and long for the Tide.
When was the last time you could say midway through a third quarter the Alabama Crimson Tide have 1 rushing yard? Thanks
Unheard
to
of.
a couple of the sacks and the negative plays, you have right now 1 rushing yard, and these first 2 runs are indicative of it. They don't know who they are right now in this run game.
To think what this Arkansas program was the last 2 years when they beat them 52-zip both times. 3rd and 7 throw is incomplete. Tevin Mitchell had good coverage that time of Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper just the 1 reception, and It's pretty easy to play defense, and in that secondary, when you have a good idea where the ball is going, going to continue to try to force the ball Amari's way, help over the top, and good coverage underneath there by Mitchell.
Scott's punt goes out at about the 43. Alabama 3 and out on 2 possessions in the second half. "50 years ago, that 1964 undefeated team, and the great Frank Broyles, the head coach back then, brought out the Football Writers Association of America National Championship Trophy to the roar of this crowd here at Razorback Stadium. That was part of our Aflac trivia question. We asked you who'd they share that title with. Hey, Bama was #1 in the AP poll, but they lost the Orange Bowl to Texas. Back then, the AP declared the national champion before the bowl games. Of course, that practice changed. Bama went unbeaten Arkansas went unbeaten that year. They won their bowl game, Cotton Bowl Classic. As Collins gets to work, and he's met by Ragland.
Feels like Arkansas's kind of game. That if you were to have told Brett Bielema, sure, he would have loved the execution and some of the fundamental breakdowns that they've had, but if you were to tell him you'd have a 2-to-1 time of possession, 2-to-1 plays, and so much control from that aspect of it. With 5 minutes to go before the fourth quarter, I think Bielema takes it
all day long. They're in position to strike. Allen. And tried to get it to Hunter Henry, who was giving him an option, but he floated beyond the sideline there.
Play here from Alabama defensively. I think part of the reason you have seen the aggressiveness in the blitzes, as you saw in the previous third downs, Nick Saban's trying to force the issue. He knows right now his offense is lacking some identity. Let's see if he pulls the trigger, tries to force some of the playmaking from his defensive side as well.
3rd and 8. So the man in the middle, trade to Priest there. And Derby's got the first down. A.J. Derby then hits the speed. How about that? Did he stay in? Touchdown, Arkansas!
Our week typically starts off with a phone call to one another on a Monday. Joe, as you had conversations and start to look at games and some of the tape, and we'll talk throughout the week, and you said to me on Monday, A.J. Derby has found a home.
And tight end.
Started his career at Iowa, thought he was a quarterback, went to junior college, came here as a quarterback, made the transition, got the scholarship this fall, and you said he's going to make an impact, and sure enough, he makes, to this point, the biggest play in the game.
Look at the athleticism and separation. That young man played quarterback last year, but yet he was striding. He was separating. He kept his balance, and he did this. Oh, we got something brewing in Fayetteville. Bama hasn't lost consecutive regular season games since '07. They're trailing Arkansas late in the 3rd here by 6.
Offense coordinator Jim Chaney has yet to beat Nick Saban in Alabama as a coordinator either at Tennessee or here at Arkansas, but he guesses right. He expects pressure. It's man pressure. You can see Geno Smith, the safety there. He's got to sift through some of the mess in front of him. And the speed and the athleticism of the former quarterback and the play call, expecting pressure, expecting man, and getting to your beater, your man beater, your blitz beater. And finally, a little bit of execution for Arkansas as well in a big moment, putting a big 7 on the board.
And there's a short kick to a middleman, and a tough transition there with Landon Collins. Ball is loose, and Anderson scoops it up. Boy, he stayed calm and controlled there, Ryan Anderson. That would have been another special teams turnover by Bama.
And no pun intended, but at some point you think the tide is going to turn here on your special teams. Your punt return, your kickoff return, the challenges you've had, the immense challenges in that phase of the game. And you saw it from Nick Saban, almost a look of exasperation going into halftime with the special teams. They coach it, they teach it, they've done the same thing year after year after year, but just poor execution now, a season-long theme in that phase of the game.
Now listen to Razorback Stadium. And they'll roar some more. Yeldon just gets about half a yard.
Just look at the push. I mean, it is truly remarkable. Arkansas is a good defensive line. This is not an elite or great defensive line. And they are owning the point of attack right now in that run game.
Here's Sims. Tracked by Flowers. Gets away from Philon. Launches it downfield, but overthrows White. And it'll be 3rd and long.
And guess who? That was Trey Flowers that set that whole play up. Cam Robinson, the true freshman left tackle, he's blocked some good ones this season. Did a very nice job against Fowler at Florida. In fact, been the best lineman. Not on that play.
3rd and 8. Tried to dive for it, but he comes up a yard short. Martrell Spate and Johnson got to Sims. Kiffin and Saban. It's been that kind of a night, trying to solve the puzzle. Three and out on their 3 possessions here in this second half. For Bama fans, seeing J.K. Scott out there is all too familiar tonight. Fair catch at about the 15-yard line. Will number 7 go tumbling down? Stay with us.
The crowd is alive here in Fayetteville, and when you ask the Arkansas coaches about where this defense starts, they say it all starts with number 86, Trey Flowers. Interestingly enough, though, last week after the A&M loss, Trey told me that he did not address the team as a group. Rather, he pulled guys aside individually during weight training. He spoke about accountability, discipline. He told them that we have to practice and we have to play like no one is watching us. Play with 100% effort, and the message he had for the guys at the start of this game, guys, was leave it all on the field.
Shannon, he could have been cashing NFL paychecks, made a decision to come back. Brett Bielema went to his house, put together a plan for the offseason return for this, for a moment like this. Here's Jonathan Williams, just about a yard there. Let's check in with RD in the studio. Reese. Thanks, Reese. Of course, a big night in the SEC. We got big finish coming here in Fayetteville, and then Ole Miss and Texas A&M down there in Kyle Field. Fake the toss. Allen gonna tuck, run, and come back against the grain. Dangerous for your quarterback getting crunched like that by Xavier Dixon.
Maybe against NIU, you're not going to do that against Alabama. And these are some of the decisions, the critical moments in the final 17 minutes of this game. You're not going to come back all the way across the field, and that's Dixon right to the chin, and what a shot from Xavier Dixon, and setting up a 3rd and 10 scenario here that I have got to imagine. If you're Alabama, just play some sound defense. Trust your front four to get home, because the big plays, the explosive plays, have come against your pressure looks in situations just like these.
All that elite talent up front for Alabama, built for downs like this. 3rd and 10. And that's exactly what happens as Ryan Anderson is able to get to Brandon Allen. Just tripped him up.
This is going to be a fascinating 4th quarter of play. I know we're not quite there yet, but I can't wait to watch both sides try to attack this. Brett Bielema is saying we learned our lesson from Texas A&M, where you're up a couple touchdowns in that final frame, and do you really believe you can get it done? Can Alabama, after 5 3-and-outs tonight and no rhythm offensively, have the resolve and the guts to turn this thing around on that side of the ball? Boy, we're going to have a good one here in the final 15 minutes plus.
The Australian Sam Irwin-Hill punting from a yard into his own end zone. Oh, he turned that bad boy over. Drives it all the way back to the 40-yard line. And then Arkansas will down it there. So Alabama could have been in great position to be on the plus side. But instead, Arkansas digs a little bit out of that hole. Just over a half minute to play here in the 3rd. Nick Saban's 100th game coaching the Crimson Tide.
An area of the field that coordinators typically love to take their shots. Very favorable field position for the first time to start a drive in some time.
Yeldon to the boundary side, well blocked, and look at the balance of TJ Yeldon.
And finally, Joe, finally some execution in your run game. Nothing, 1 yard coming into this drive, and finally TJ is able to really run their bread and butter. What they do best, what they have to get to, that outside zone run with both he and Henry.
That was their first down of this 2nd half. And it comes just before the end of the 3rd quarter. They keep it with Yeldon. And he was wrapped up by Darius Philon. Ball came out at the end there. And then went out towards that Bama sideline.
That's a big 4-yard difference if indeed it went out.
They're marking that thing back at the 45.
Here we go.
End of 3. Here we go. Arkansas's moment or Bama's comeback. Let's stick around to find out, folks. 0-2 in the SEC is Arkansas. 0-8 last year. But let's take a look at how they're finding success stopping the run tonight, brought to you by Expedia.
It really has been the theme tonight to put too much responsibility on the quarterback, and it's been the inability at times to block your man head up. Look at your middle linebacker, 51 here, Brooks Ellis. There's not a hat on him. Nobody's able to get to the 2nd level. Ari Kwanjo, left guard. Oh, he's trying to cut. He can't get his man on the ground. The inability to win the one-on-one blocks at the point of attack to initiate any of this run game has really set this offense back. A big part of why they've had 5 3-and-outs on the evening.
Only 24 rushing yards for Alabama. 2nd and 10, Sims. As he throw it low but complete that time to Jalston Fowler, his talented fullback.
This has been a problem area. 0 for 3 a week ago against Ole Miss. Missed earlier on a 3rd and short situation.
See Sims looking over at Lane Kiffin. 3rd and 1. Plenty of time on the play clock. Are they going to call a timeout here?
You better be
or
real
settle
careful.
down and get this thing going. Gets the call in. And it's Derrick Henry, off right tackle, lowering the shoulder, and a Bama first down. 8-yard run by Derrick Henry.
Amari Cooper is the best, most talented player on this offense.
Undoubtedly.
In my opinion, number 2 and 3 are your 2 running backs, Yeldon and Henry.
Cooper only has 1 catch for 12 yards tonight.
Offside, 34 on defense. Result of the play is a first down.
That's Braylon Mitchell, the senior there, who lined up in the neutral zone. But you just have to, and it's a pretty easy call here, obvious there. You just have to find a way. If Cooper is your best, then get to plan B and C and find some run game. Maybe it is that outside stretch zone, but you have got to commit to getting Yeldon and Henry their touches here when it matters the most.
Sims, 3-step, then goes across the other side, and he gets it to Cam Sims. And that was good yards after the catch for 15 from the true freshman, Cam Sims. And Brooks Ellis, the starting middle linebacker for Arkansas, is still down.
Really nice job there by Blake Sims to come off of Amari Cooper.
As they take care of Brooks Ellis, we'll take a short break. Another great night in the SEC. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore, Brock Huard, Shannon Spake. Alabama's not out of it, folks. Not in this year with the playoff. I know they lost last week, but everything's still ahead of them. But for now, what's ahead of them are 12 more yards to try to take this lead here in the fourth quarter against the upset-minded Razorbacks. Lost the ball for a moment and then got it to Derrick Henry.
Early in this game, Blake Sims was so zeroed in on Amari Cooper that even if he is covered, he is never coming off of him. It's one thing to want to get your best player the ball. It's quite another to throw into coverage. Watch the evolution here as this game's evolved. He wants to go to Cooper. He wants to go to Cooper. Nope. And you're going to come back. Your offense is built. This system with Lane Kiffin has some of its roots in the West Coast system. Come back. Follow your progression. There will be open receivers if you can get off of number 1.
2nd and 8. Henry trying to test the middle of that defense. We're going to have a 3rd down here at the 6-yard line. Kiffin's going to dial it up, and this crowd's going to crank it up. First sellout at Razorback Stadium since Brett Bielema has been named head coach. 3rd and 3. Sims to the end zone. Touchdown Tide. DeAndrew White.
Touchdown, Alabama.
Brett Bielema did all he could. You could see his defense in complete disarray. He's doing all he can on the very bottom of the screen, trying to run in. He is
past the
nearly to the line of scrimmage, and he does not get the timeout. He can see with Brooks Ellis, his linebacker, out. Discombobulated defensively. Couldn't get the TO.
To break the tie, Adam Griffith. And he has been perfect on the year. A block PAT, the difference on the board now. Listen, they'll take it. 4th quarter, tight game with Bama. They've waited a long time to be in position like this, and Alabama has fought back admirably with Blake Sims now his 10th touchdown pass of the season as he found White. And the extra point, the margin of difference here. Bama blocked one earlier in the game. This is Hawkins here. And he's met and slammed down at the 15 by Ragland. We got a good finish coming here with Bama and Arkansas, and then a real good game coming up with Bo Wallace and the unbeaten Rebels going up against Texas A&M. And that kickoff looks like it's going to go now at 9:15. As we'll start that on ESPN3 Goal Line and the alternate SEC Network channel if we're not finished here with the high drama in Fayetteville. And Brandon Allen, the junior quarterback, so improved from a year ago. But can he get the job done now? Reed comes up with a tackle of Collins. Shannon.
Joe, one of the focuses for the bye week for this Arkansas team was called perfect fourth quarter play. What they did was they ran some drills. They would line up, take the snap, and the first couple steps of the play. They had to do it 10 consecutive times perfectly. At the end of the day, at the end of practice when they were tired, Coach Bielema wants them to be able to finish the game strong. He feels it's something they have not done this season to get over that hump to get the win.
Shannon had a 2-touchdown lead against Texas A&M. Saw how they were outscored against Auburn. Now they got to respond here against Bama. 2nd and 5. And that Bama front doing their job. Take you back to what happened earlier tonight when Arkansas scored. And then the extra point attempt. Jonathan Allen gets that big mid up there and blocks it. As the starting defensive end playing special teams for Nick Saban. And right now, that effort by Allen has Bama up by 1.
And this 4-man rush that was so effective on the previous possession has got to get home once again, led by Allen out there on the edge.
3rd and 5. They bring 4 against Brandon Allen. And the pressure and throwing it across the grain doesn't work out so well as Eddie Jackson had coverage that time. And Arkansas will be punting away.
And it was Allen who blocked the PAT, and it was Allen that time who forces Allen to come up and climb up into the pocket. And just an inaccurate throw. You know, I have on my board here from Brett Bielema yesterday, we have to stay aggressive in the 4th quarter. Really felt like beyond just the perfection that Shannon alluded to. And look at this aggressiveness.
Are they going to go for it here on 4th and 5? Or are they trying to draw them on 4th and 5 with a hard count? Now Bielema gave it a shot and then calls the timeout. Why not? Keep in mind what's on the line here, not just for Brett Bielema, who you see there is looking for his first SEC win. 14 consecutive conference losses for Arkansas. They're close. You can tell the way they're playing this game and previous games. But for Alabama, yes, they lost last week, but it's like double elimination for them now with the college football playoff. Everything's still right in front of them with that schedule.
And the bar set so high. I mean, so incredibly high that you lose a game and everybody around the country talking about you and your leadership or the lack thereof. It's not pretty today. And there's been some bad offense. 5 3-and-outs, as you mentioned earlier. That's as many as they've had all season coming into tonight. But they've got the resolve, and they've proven it for many, many years.
Of course, playing in the SEC West, you get the big showcase games and get you that credibility when it comes to that college football selection committee for the playoff.
Does Arkansas really believe to a man in these final 11 minutes they can get this done? That they can give Alabama and Nick Saban back-to-back losses for the first time since Saban was in his first year building his program at Bama?
Sam Irwin-Hill. This is going to be fielded by Jones, and he loses the ball. This is unbelievable what's been going on with Bama in special teams, but they get it back time and time again. When will it end? 3rd time tonight. And you know what happened late against Ole Miss. That was Trey DePriest, the senior star middle linebacker who came down and covered up, saved the day. Wow. Two top 10 teams have lost today. Alabama doesn't want to be the 3rd. They want to put this thing away, but they got to put that ball away on special teams, Brock.
Kirby Smart called Dixon, Xavier Dixon, Trey DePriest, Landon Collins one-on-one in individual meetings and said, who helped their buddy next to him? We yell at you enough. Okay, you don't need to yell at your teammate. Who was the one to encourage and actually help the guy next to him? Pretty good picture right there of his buddies picking him up.
Yeldon loses a yard there. They're trying to pick up the spirits of Cyrus Jones after he lost control of that ball on yet another punt return by Bama. Fortunately for Bama, they were able to recover it. And now 10.5 minutes to play. Just a 1-point margin here against this really feisty Arkansas team, a program that really believes where they're headed.
And Philon and Flowers, such a big part of this. Once again, unblockable. Philon in the backfield. Flowers beating his block with Vogler. And that early down run game, such an issue for the consistency of drives for Alabama tonight.
2nd and 11. Sims, a lot of time looking over those options, launches it downfield and throws it well to the outside of Sims, Cam Sims. So now a 3rd and 11 for Lane Kiffin, the play call, and for that Razorback defense to try to step up and deliver for these fans, these patient fans who have been waiting. Throws underneath to Cooper. Can he get to the sticks? That mark is going to be real close. See the linesman on the near side. It's going to put that ball down.
I think that was a pretty favorable spot.
Ball is in his right hand, which is the more forward side of his body. And that yellow line is unofficial. That's the one we put in for a little TV entertainment. So they're going to bring the chains all the way from the other side of the field.
So eerily similar to the final drive against Ole Miss, where the only play Cooper got out in that game was a very similar little shallow cross underneath, where his speed just broke down the 3 angles of those defenders to even give this a chance to be a first down.
That far away. It's the plus 42. Kiffin's already into the play sheet.
There you see the constant communication between Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin. Lane saying, Nick, one of those incredible guys that could take his call sheet. And he's renowned as a defensive coordinator. He could be an offensive coordinator in Kiffin's estimation. And he's given his first-year coordinator the go-ahead here.
4th and about a football. How do you close it out, Bama?
Be ready and be wary of Sims pulling this ball as he did for a touchdown run against Ole Miss if he sees it.
Quarterback sneak. He went vertical. I don't think he got it at all.
What is he doing?
He didn't even jump forward. They're going to have to measure this again. Who knows how they even came up with a spot there. Crowd does not like that spot of the ball at all.
And Kiffin did not like the execution, and he's telling Blake Sims, just get your pads down.
Pads down, he jumped to the sky.
Well, he's saying, I'm trying to jump over the top, and that's not what Kiffin and Saban were looking for.
That's Arkansas's football. We got 9.5 minutes to play, and the Hogs got the ball.
Joe, it's one thing on the goal line to jump vertically. because all you've got to do is stretch that ball out across the plane. You see that maybe on the goal line. You cannot do that. Lane knows it. He said it point blank. Nick Saban was given the teaching emphasis to his quarterback. Get your pads down and push the pile and move the chains.
Allen, they're right in his mug right away. That was Eddie Jackson on a little cat.
I love the chess match when the game and these calls become so big and Kirby Smart wins. I gave you the win on the other side with Chaney. Kirby Smart's anticipating a shot play. What do coordinators love to do after momentum-changing plays? They love to take shots. Brett Bielema was telling us yesterday, we have got to be aggressive in the fourth quarter. So what does Kirby Smart do? He brings a corner blitz right into the back of Brandon Allen.
Great call by Kirby Smart. Saw it coming. Backs him up 11. 2nd and 21. Low snap. Allen goes underneath and gets it complete. Let's check in down on the field with Shannon.
Joe, Blake Sims came over and sat on the bench, and it wasn't 2 seconds before all of the guys on his team came over and swarmed him, just encouraging him, telling him it's all right, we're going to get the ball back. But as you see the shift, Blake Sims was the one getting them up earlier in the game, and now they're returning the favor.
No doubt about it.
His
team has been united. His team has been united in some pressure situations throughout the night. After a week where a former star questioned leadership in this group. Third and 15. Allen. Pressure comes. Survives it for now, but he's got to get a lot of ground, and he comes up just short. Great effort by Brandon Allen as it took A'Shawn Robinson retreating with all 320 pounds to find him.
And you just can't draw it up any better, can you? The 4th and inches on the other side. Now a 4th and 1 here as they're making sure Brandon Allen took a pretty good lick there.
We got 4th downs separated by just 3 plays now. Now it's Arkansas's turn.
And trying to dig out the field turf in the helmet.
How Brandon Allen came up with 14 yards when he needed 15 there was a minor miracle. They need one more to keep it alive. Don't go anywhere. So here we are. 4th and 1 for Arkansas. Jonathan Williams is the lone back in this heavy set. Williams met, stretches out. It'll depend on the spot. His body didn't have it. The mark coming in as to where he reached out is going to be real close, but that was Xavier Dixon filling that hole. And that looks like Bama may have stopped him, but they're going to have to take a peek again. Dixon made a great play on Williams there. Well, they had a chance against Texas A&M a few weeks ago. Similar situation, and now here against Bama. And let's see. Not even close. That's a turnover on downs for the Tide.
Two Tide players that have played their best of the season. It's A'Shawn Robinson and Reggie Ragland. Look at Robinson get the push, and then look at Ragland shoot the gap. Robinson, the big fella in the middle, has got to make that back stutter his feet. He does. And then Ragland and company come through. And Xavier Dixon, the senior, as well. What a group effort there from Alabama with the push and the finish to get the ball right back to their offense.
You know the struggles on the road for Bama in recent games. And now they got to try to close one out on the road. And they go with Cooper coming around, end around, and being stretched out for a loss. That's a loss of 5 as Trey Flowers was stride for stride with Cooper.
Trey's going to play in the NFL a long time. I don't know how dynamic a difference maker, a pass rusher he'll be, but there will be many defensive coordinators that covet his football IQ. He has such an awareness of the game and the situation, the formation, and Cooper, once again, he was banged up earlier. He put the knee sleeve on. He's coming off the field when it matters the most.
Don't want to be off schedule in a spot like this, but here they are with 2nd and 16. Sims sprinting to the right, and that's incomplete. It's going to be 3rd and long as he looked Cam Sims' way again.
This has got to be draw, screen, conservative, and Lane, you talked with him this morning, said he doesn't feel the handcuffs, but this has got to be a situation for me that I'm going to rely on a defense that's played a lot of really good ball, that's really held up this game for Alabama. And I don't take any unnecessary risks here with a quarterback that's proven a little shaky this evening.
3rd and 16. They go conservative. TJ Yeldon. And Spate makes the tackle. This thing's going to go down under 6.5 minutes. Arkansas has got to make up for that blocked PAT. We should be tied up, but the difference was that blocked extra point by Alabama's Jonathan Allen. So Arkansas needs just a little more magic.
Joe, the difference is Arkansas has not won a conference game in nearly 2 years. Do they believe they can do it in these final 6 minutes? To a man, when they get this ball back, do they believe that this is the night they finally earn it?
J.K. Scott punting away. Flag comes down.
Illegal substitution on the defense. Coach, what is he doing?
You get all access with Penn Wagers, the referee here sometimes.
It's going to make it 4th and 4.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the formation on the defense. Penalty 5 yards, remains 4th down.
Remember, it was 4th and 9, so it'll only bring it to a 4th and 4 here. Brett Bielema was considering a timeout there. That would have been his last one if he had called it. He had a challenge of a spot earlier, and it cost him a timeout just before that 4th down play earlier. So he's got to be careful. J.K. Scott once again ready to unleash that big leg here and see if he can pin him. Fair catch at about the 13. 5:45 to play. Another chance for us to check in with Reese. All you want is a chance when you're a team like Arkansas, upset-minded. Well, they got their chance right here. Brandon Allen, as he goes to Arinze, the backup fullback, to get this drive going. Remember, 56 straight weeks in the top 10 for Alabama. Here they are at number 7, having lost to Ole Miss, but yet everything in front of them when it comes to the college football playoffs. And Arkansas, yes, they've been trending in the right direction. The program ascending with Brett Bielema, but still 14 straight SEC losses. 2nd and 4 now. Allen, shallow cross, was way off the mark, looking for A.J. Derby. So it'll be 3rd and 4. As Reed tried to get up there.
And you've seen back-to-back passes to open this very critical drive. And on back-to-back possessions, you have seen the 4-man rush for Alabama really get home. And I think you continue to stick with that plan until they prove otherwise. Help those guys out in coverage.
3rd and 4. They only bring 4. And that was thrown behind his intended target. Sprinkle, the tight end.
And those are a couple misses, and we talked about the quiet lower body. Those are back-to-back throws there where this moment gets pretty big. And you've got to keep your composure in the pocket. The four-man rush is coming up around him, but hitch, 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 and then that ball thrown low, unfortunately, for Arkansas.
So now the punt return team for Alabama is back out on the field, and that's been an adventure all night. Cyrus Jones want to secure this thing. Sam Irwin Hill. It's a punt away. Puts that away and gets to the ground. And why are we in this position? Because earlier tonight, Jonathan Allen gave a little extra effort and went up and blocked the extra point attempt. That's it right there. Reaching to the sky. The Alabama defensive end. So 14-13 it stands, and Blake Sims has a chance to grab a road win here if he can burn and churn a little bit of clock. Alabama has lost 3 of their last 4 away from Tuscaloosa. Derrick Henry tripped up, but that body went forward short of the 50. Reese. Bama fans know all about Jalen Walton. Ole Miss just another powerhouse in this SEC West. As that's Brian Vogler, the 6'7" senior tight end, who was down after that play. He's been banged up a bit. A reminder as to where we are in college football in that top 10. Scratch off Auburn Brock. Scratch off TCU as Baylor came back. And I think everybody would be in agreement the best resume is Mississippi State with what they've accomplished, taking out Texas A&M and then Auburn at home today. Ole Miss still to come tonight against A&M, and Bama sitting there at number 7 as we've discussed all night long. Everything's still in front of them. You go through that SEC West schedule, you arrive at a championship game in Atlanta, and you're going to have a playoff invite, but you got to survive here.
And you see some big boys here and some beef for Alabama coming into the game. Dakota Ball there at tight end is going to take Vogler's spot. You see Leon Brown back in. To me, this is run 7 yards on first down on that outside stretch zone run. I'd continue to focus on that. That will set up the rest of your offense.
Yeldon on 2nd and 3. He's going to be right near that line, maybe just a half yard short, tackled by Spate.
Alabama is not who they have been up front. Not even close to the 2012 group, but they are still good enough.
Oh, how about Ryan Kelly, starting center, who's out? They talked about that all week long. Lane Kiffin said, you asked me one guy we can't lose, it would be Ryan Kelly. Going to take every second off that clock if they can. 3rd and 1. And got a timeout called. Nick Saban used a timeout there. These are those moments. Got to put it away.
He said to Coach Saban last night, 0 for 3 in 3rd and 1 to 3 against Ole Miss. I mean, that was unheard of back in the day. You could line up and just run. Tell the other team what you're going to run with that Alabama offensive line. That's not who they are. That's not who they've been this season.
So much was made of the last 6.5 minutes of Ole Miss. That was a tight football game. A lot of things went against Alabama. Now you get this moment to close it out and make sure things don't go against you here in Arkansas.
Absolutely. And in that huddle right here, Blake Sims, the 4th down earlier, we're trying to jump over for the quarterback sneak. I think folks have to understand just the element between play caller, head coach, quarterback, the trust that you must develop, and how that trust and that history of what's been done does dictate future calls. This got to be, to me, your big back, your big boys up front. You put it on their shoulders to get you half a yard.
TJ Yeldon is that big back. There's a penalty flag down.
12 men in the formation.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
12 men against Alabama. Saban is sick of all the miscues and mistakes, getting frustrated. They're pushed back 5 yards.
That's tight ends coach Bobby Williams there, and some confusion with Vogler and Dakota Bell and who's on, who's off. Vogler we saw go off the field earlier. Bobby, the special teams tight ends coach, and Lane letting him know he didn't like that sense of communication.
So from 3rd and 1 to now out of the gun with Sims on 3rd and 6. Sims, those feet are getting some work. Diving for it, and the mark is well short, so that penalty was costly. Josh Williams pursued him and pushed him out. So 4th down here.
Don't even think about it. You punt this ball down there and you make this team go some distance to get some points.
J.K. Scott will come out again. And we'll take those last few seconds off. And Scott will kick away as we're heading towards 3 minutes. And we're going to get the delay here.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains 4th down.
So self-inflicted mistakes that just drive veteran coaches crazy. They work on all of those things. It's hard enough to go out and get a yard, and you got the wrong people in the huddle and you get the penalty there. Devastating.
Takes a bounce inside the 20. And Arkansas will be setting up shop starting at the 14-yard line. Reese, 2:50 to play here. Arkansas trailing by 1. That's Adam McFain. He won the job this week. He warmed up hitting a 51-yarder earlier tonight. Brandon Allen.
This 4-man rush has been such the difference here in this 4th quarter of play, in my opinion. Just the understanding that, like Jim Chaney said, the offensive coordinator from Arkansas, you got to go out there and you've got to execute. And you've got 5 offensive linemen that are more built to run the ball and sustain your run game than these situations and necessarily block. When 4 get home and affect the quarterback, it is hard to find completions.
Allen, look at the time he has. Directing traffic and then throwing it away. Been so many missed opportunities, missed scoring opportunities for Arkansas. Like this to start the game. Fumbled through the end zone by Cody Walker and a touchback. The bad snap and bad hold that goes for nothing. And then the difference on the scoreboard in the game, the block PAT by Jonathan Allen of Alabama. Third and 10. That's a first down for the Razorbacks. Hunter Henry, their tight end.
And they finally get to one of the matchups they do like, that they do feel that their big tight end can win in one-on-one situations. You see some zone coverage there, and Hunter does an excellent job of both pressing that route past the first down marker and finding that little void in the zone to move the chains.
First down and pass again. Oh, and he went up for it, but they're saying it is incomplete, that Henry was out of bounds, as Perry had coverage there. Watch the foot here of Henry. And foot is on the white. That's a good look by the official there, right on top of it. Second down now. Allen wanted to slant that time with Wilson. Off time, off the mark.
Nice play there by Eddie Jackson as well. In the final 10 minutes of that game at Ole Miss, it was Tony Brown, the true freshman, that got picked on. And that is all Eddie Jackson. He's reading the route. He sees the high pads of Wilson, the in cut, and he jumps at no chance. And once again, very precarious 3rd and 10 for a team much more equipped and built to run it than these known passing downs and situations.
Allen on 3rd and 10. Cross the field and picked off. What a play by Landon Collins, the All-America safety. He tried to go all the way to the other side of the field to Williams, floated it, and Collins made him pay the price.
And you could feel some of that coming, Joe. Just some of the desperation there, that you're dropping back time and again. The rush is getting to you. The timing of your routes and progressions, you've got nothing coming, feeling like you have got to force the issue. And if you're going to make that throw, you better be number 1 Aaron Rodgers, or number 2 set your feet where your guy can get it or nobody gets it, because Collins showing you why he's an all-conference, all-American kind of performer.
Yeldon just beyond the line of scrimmage. Remember, Arkansas only that timeout left. Those long faces on the Arkansas bench. And there's only so long you can say, boy, we're so close. We're so close. All these big at-bats for Arkansas.
We'll see how the final minute 50 plays out, but I can tell you what Bret Bielema is already going to say in this press conference, because he's going to be asked about it, because it's been the message consistently. We'll win when we deserve it, when we earn it. And unfortunately, some of these miscues we've seen and we have talked about and we have shown and illustrated, you're that close, but that's not good enough against a quality opponent.
Timeout here, chance to check in with Reese again. Yeah. And maybe the roller coaster ride is over for the Ole Miss quarterback. Little boot here with Blake Sims, and that's what he can offer you up as he goes for 7 yards. Been a little chippy down there in what's been a really tightly contested game here in Fayetteville. And there is an Arkansas player down there, and that is Darius Philon, their outstanding interior defensive lineman. He's from Alabama. The young man who was recruited by Alabama.
And a young man who has played a whale of a ball game tonight. He and Flowers have been so good in their one-on-one matchups and stopping that run.
You asked earlier, what is Alabama's identity? I think maybe a week and a half ago we could answer that a little clearer. End of the Ole Miss game and some choppy periods here makes you question it a bit.
You still like their defense, though.
You really do. They have a lot of talent in that front seven, especially in Landon Collins at safety.
And you and I talked early in the week. There's a lot of misperception that Ole Miss went up and down the field, that there was a lot of good bow. It wasn't good bow until the final 10 minutes, picking on a true freshman corner. That defense played championship quality defense last week, and they did it again tonight.
You think about the depth of this SEC West. If this Arkansas team is a team that was winless last year and a team that's still searching for an SEC win this year, this is as deep of a division as there is.
But how do you get over the hump? Every Arkansas fan, and we'll see what happens in the final 100 seconds or so. Every Arkansas fan, the sellout crowd here tonight is going to be asking that same question. When? It's now 15 and 11 in a row for Brett, and it's not good enough to be close. So how and when do you get over the hump? And that's tough.
You see Philon not putting any weight on that left leg. He's a big part of what they do defensively up front.
And unfortunately there, Austin Shepard, the right tackle, comes into the back of the legs there. That's not anything with any malice of intent. Unfortunate there because Philon with Flowers so very good on that defensive line for Brett Bielema.
And that clock running down, play clock running down, and he'll be facing a 3rd and 2 as Bama is trying to just survive and advance. One last chance for Arkansas. Try to get a stop here on 3rd and 2. Well, and there's movement up front. That's just sloppy by Ari Kwanjo. So that helps Arkansas.
False start. Number 77, offense. 5-yard penalty. Down remains 3rd.
Pre-snap penalties. Substitution penalties. A senior here. A 5th-year redshirt senior. Christian Jones, a senior for you. Some of your players that have been there and done it over and over and over again, just not executing the mental aspect of this game.
So now it's 3rd and 7. Here's Yeldon. And Yeldon, ball came out, but they're marking him down about a yard short. Try to put this thing away. Now there was a penalty before, and I believe that clock was running down. They don't have to run a play here. The way that scenario played out, coming off of that penalty, they ran down the clock. Brett Bielema wants an explanation as well.
He's one of many of them tonight.
So that's it. Arkansas 15 straight SEC losses. Oh, so close. Just a blocked extra point away. But number 7 Alabama, everything's still in front of them, folks. You just got to survive in college football nowadays. 14-13 for Shannon Spake, Brock Hewitt. I'm Joe Tess. Enjoy the rest of your night.